Thank you, Angel, and Heidi ho, everyone. Welcome aboard. So glad you could join us for the Thursday Theatre of Thoughtfulness that we will enter very, very shortly. Why is it the theatre? Why is it the Theatre of Thoughtfulness? Because it's quiz day, that's why. And John will be along, of course, a little bit later with his fantastic quiz that educates us all each and every Thursday. If you can get some right, it's always a bonus. No prizes yet. Let's come up with a prize. How about some who gives a crap toilet paper? How am I going to get it to you guys? That's the hardest bit. I'll work it out one day. Happy quiz day to you too, Paul P, and to all our buddies who joining us in the room. Fantastic to have you as always. Hope you enjoy the show and perhaps get a little bit out of it. That would be wonderful. All right, let's take a look and see what we're doing with pound US dollar. Now we are now, sorry, the whole thing is out. The trailing stops were hit yesterday as anticipated. It was pretty clear that the pound was going to sell off yesterday. I'm looking at the dollar index. I should go to the pound chart, shouldn't I? It was pretty clear that the pound was going to sell off yesterday. The only surprise to me being that it didn't sell off further. In fact, it has bounced. Guess where from? The bottom of a channel. Funny thing that, eh? What happens next is the question. And we seem to be at a decent resistance level. Certainly recency in here, but also over here. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. You can see that we are bound between the daily pivot and the weekly pivot. Not a great trading zone, I've got to say. That said, we have come off the bottom of the range. We have put in a higher low, perhaps, probably. Maybe a bounce off the weekly pivot and another higher low gets us up to here, but I don't know that there's that much ahead for us. In terms of the breakout, let me see what challenges lie ahead. Okay, so yesterday's range was here. Didn't even make the daily pivot, nearly, but not quite. So here to here, all about yesterday, 72 odd pips. So if we got on there, we've got about 47, 48 to the top, which is not really what we're looking for. So that risk versus the reward, and we don't forget we have to get 1-to-1 for our TP1, and then we go in the opposite direction. Let me just facilitate that. Maybe I'll go to a bigger chart. Pardon me. So yesterday's range. So we'd enter there. What did I say the risk was? 70 something, 75, let's say. You've got to get through that level and that level and that level to get to there. That's not so bad. I think that would be okay, the downside. But the upside, I'm a little bit concerned about. Maybe we could go to the highs and that would get us there, maybe. From there to there, yeah, it's not really there, is it? So you're asking it to break through the highs and put in some more. I don't think so. I'm just going to hang and maybe look to trade it short because I think that's where my bias has to remain. Reason? Well, top of the range, double top, triple top, lower height here, weekly pivot test here, another weekly pivot test here would be good. But then again, you've got the two pivots there, as I said before, and a former resistance level, which is problematic. Looks like rangy to me. We shall see. So I'm not going to place an order on pound US dollar for the breakout. Rather, what I will seek to do is sort out yesterday's mess. And what I mean by that is the Aussie pairs in particular, but not exclusively. Pretty much it was a doji day. Aussie Cad, daily chart. Look at that. There was CAD news, wasn't there, yesterday? Yesterday being Wednesday, yes. Of course there was. BOC rate statement. I haven't read it, got no idea what happened, but by the reaction from Aussie versus the CAD, it wasn't too favourable or unfavourable, because we've got a pretty strong indication there that the market doesn't really know which direction it is headed. Does that give us something to think about? Well, not really. The bias with Aussie CAD for the week, did we have one? No, we didn't have a bias. We've got a double bottom. We appear to be in a range. I think I'd be happy to trade it off the top of that range. We do have that's the weekly chart I'm talking about. We don't want to trade that today, do we? That's no help, none at all. Yeah, it's bouncing off support. So if we're thinking what happens next, probably a higher low gets us interested to go long. It's kind of against my grain. And I think the CAD news, I think I read the headline early this morning when I was doing my analysis, and the CAD news was, to my understanding, and don't quote me on this, but I think that's what I read in the headline, that the QE was just about dead, but interest rates are on hold. So QE dead, monetary tightening, good for the currency. Oil, what's oil doing? Let me have a look. Oils. Ooh, it's come off a bit, isn't it? Daily chart. Nice bounce point, maybe. I would think probably. Don't know any oil news, of course, so I can't be tempted into that, but that looks to me to be a bounce point. It's coming off 81.40 and this former resistance and support level. Support again, perhaps. So, okay, I'm thinking CAD strong, and I'm not convinced that the Aussie is strong at this point. So I would be thinking Aussie CAD short. Lower high off the tops, maybe in this area. That would make sense. But the theme was very much the same with all the Aussie pairs. There's a perfect doji on Aussie Swissy. It doesn't get any better than that in terms of the depiction of a doji, but does it give us anything? Well, it gives us a double top, I suppose. So next move, have a look at that doesn't belong there. Have a look at the state of the nation, and we've got, again, a resistance level that's been rejected. Interesting. Very interesting. That's the weekly chart. If it doesn't take out that high, I don't mind dojis. I like to trade dojis, but not there. Not there at all. I think a lower high here has got to get me interested on Aussie Swissy. So that's kind of there. I'm just going through all these pairs that are really indecisive because of the dojis yesterday, and most of them are Aussie CAD and Euro, I think, from memory. Don't mind that candle, and I had a good look at that this morning on Aussie Kiwi, and couldn't quite come to trade it, and I'm not sure why precisely. Oh, because of that level, right? That little white line, yeah, trading straight into it. That looks to be the case at the moment. That said, I'd be happy if I did get a setup here to trade short. I would indeed be. I don't see it there on the 4-hour. Hourly chart, that's potential for a false break of that trade line. So up to here, hit the resistance, come back underneath, retest here somewhere, get some profit in before that. That would make sense to me. So I'm still bearish the Aussie, guys, by the look of it. Aussie dollar at the moment is trying to get through here to go to that high. If it doesn't, that's going to be pretty bearish. We are at, again, same with everything, isn't it? At resistance, looking for break or bounce, maybe. I'm just convictionless otherwise CAD, as I said, most of these charts are showing doji bars. It does make it very difficult, especially when they're big, to trade, because trading the bar per se is going to be full of risk, and you need a decent reward to counter that. G'day, John. Hi, Lewis. Well, you weren't supposed to be here, Lewis. Oh, maybe today was the last day. Maybe that's what you said. So where do we draw our enthusiasm from for today? You've got to go, I guess, to the daily game changer bars, and Kiwi Swiss was the first of them. Game changer bar long. That looks to be on its way to triggering if you chose to trade it. I didn't, and again, resistance dead ahead makes it tough. You've got probably a trade line there, so you're banging your head on that. You're banging your head on the high, and the ultimate high is not too far away. So it's tough to trade. Directionally, I'm okay with it, but tough to trade. And if you have a look at this chart, you're getting a game changer bar on the weekly in completely the opposite direction. Whew, makes it tough, doesn't it? Makes it really tough. I'm inclined to think, watch this bar and start thinking next week at the moment. If this bar stays inside that bar, that's going to be a pretty strong indication that this could fall. And that would not be surprising given the level that we currently sit, or at which we currently sit. What else have we got? Kiwi yen, well, not dissimilar, of course, because we've got a risk on currency versus a risk off currency. There you have on the weekly charts, again, a game changer bar. Game changer bar here, kind of. Don't like that it's come off its low as much as it has. That bar was interesting. Did we talk about this? I think we probably did. Looks very similar to Aussie yen, right? Very, very similar. And both of those, Aussie Kiwi, Aussie Swiss, sorry, Aussie yen, Aussie Swiss, Kiwi yen, Kiwi Swiss, as you would expect, very, very similar. Not playing out. And you can see high test bar, low test bar makes it really, really difficult to make money in there. How do we go about this now? Well, we wait for a break of resistance. So for our chart, we put in our resistance trade line and we look and see. Break, take on the highs, maybe. I don't want to trade that way. Break and retest is interesting. You could probably enter a higher risk trade at the trade line if it doesn't burst back through it. Or you could wait for the consolidation back underneath, retest, and look to go short. And I think the options are very, very few at the moment. And maybe this is what we need to be thinking, because those doji bars yesterday, as I said, it just makes trading very, very difficult on a daily basis. You've got to look really at the smaller time frames and weigh up if the direction that you were trading before the doji came is worth considering. And in many cases, there'll be a yes to that, but in some cases, there'll be a no to that, because doji is a doji, and it means the market is indecisive. So which way it goes next is questionable. That's what makes it hard to trade if you're trading that bar per se. If you are inclined to have a bias prior to that doji bar, then I would suggest that just watch that bias unfold, and if you get the opportunity, trade it. Kiwi US Dollar was the only other one, and wow, what a chart. The only thing I see here is the reluctance of the market to do either. It doesn't want to take on the high here by the look of it, but it certainly doesn't want to break to the low side either. So you're just in this little band here, which may be worth following on a smaller time frame. And again, I'm going back to small time frames are the place to be at the moment. That's why my daily stuff is just non-existent. There is nothing to tell you other than wait. But the trade-off resistance, trade-off support on the smaller time frames, particularly at the top or bottom of ranges, I think you'd be doing okay. Mate, I got nothing. How you going? How's the voice?
Voice is bad.
Say no more.
Voice is bad. I'll try and lower it down.
I shouldn't laugh. It's not funny.
No, well, it is. There is a short on the FTSE this morning, which I will show you.
Okay.
Let's bring this up here.
John, stand by. This could be an early quiz.
Okay.
Cheers, mate.
Right.
Sultry. Yeah, you should record an album with that one.
Right, you guys got my screen here. Yeah, lots of lovely negativity this morning coming into play. Here's a little trend line here, so perfect place for a short here. Nice strong bar as well. So this fails for this particular point. You can start having a look at the 5 minute if you want, just to kind of get maybe a slightly cleaner entry, but you might want one bar to enter, but this is good enough. You know, this is a great point. It's come right back to the potential resistance line, was support, now it's become resistance, and the market's just looking a bit heavy. I mean, it's just I think we got we got some European earnings out later on, so
and ECB.
And ECB, yeah. So there's a couple of things that might change the picture somewhat, but just the markets generally, you know, you start looking around, and I can't. Let's, in fact, before we do this, let's have a look where the FTSE could go, and I'm looking at this as a potential for this to be a possible head. Now, I don't think it'll end up breaking down, but it does suggest that this area here may become the start of a shoulder, and that shoulder, you know, it might sort of like go along there for some time, but I think back down to this level is achievable. So there's a possible 60 pips. You wouldn't want to go for any more than the weekly pivot probably this morning, but because it might still kind of the head would look a little bit small, so it might take a little bit of time to kind of create that head. But this looks like a great place for a short with a FTSE, and I think it could achieve it as well. Looking along here as well, you can see that there's probably that level as well, which would meet quite nicely with where it started to bounce. There's this level here, which met really very nicely where it started to bounce. So definitely, if you're looking at first contact, probably here, which is around about looks like around about a 20 pip move to the downside. That's probably will be my aim. Just looking for a quick 20 pips in the market, and then seeing if anything happens from there on in. But I'd say, mate, I think that's achievable. I think the FTSE looks weak enough this morning to come down. We got BP down 1%. We've got Royal Dutch Shell down over 1% as well. So the oil story, the thing that really dragged the FTSE to the upside, and many of the markets actually, is just starting to ease a little bit back. So the FTSE is a short, to say, and you're probably aiming here. If you're feeling brave, the weekly pivot. If you're feeling hyper brave, then down to the support level down here. Next to check out would be what happened with the Nasdaq, and you really want to look at the daily bars. Tried twice now to break through its all-time highs, but hasn't got there. The first drag to the upside was off Tesla news, which was amazing news. Since then, I think some of the earnings have been a little bit more benign. So I think the Nasdaq coming down to at least this point is also achievable. I think the S&P, you know, it didn't form an evening star. That looks like, you know, more of a kind of false dusk pattern, which is bullish in actual fact, as it's held along this level here. And we're going to need to watch the VIX, which did get a pop to the upside, especially when you look at the 4 hourly. Huge pop to the upside yesterday with the VIX, and looks like it just about took out some levels if you look at those levels there. So VIX looking a lot more positive, may well drag the S&P a little bit further down. Can't make a read out of gold. It's up and down and up and down. But I would say that gold holding this level here yesterday does look bullish. So gold looks like it's broken to the upside, potentially. Hasn't on the wider picture. So you're probably not looking for much, but it does look like it's going to hit this this horizontal level around about 1830. I would favor silver over gold, but this is the area I'd love to pick silver up. Still would love that inverted head and shoulders pattern to come into play, but whether it will, I don't know. But it would match the trend line as well very nicely, so that would be really clean. So I'm looking for silver if it can come down a little bit to get some upside. I'm looking for FTSE downside this morning, and I am looking for the Nasdaq and possibly the S&P just to roll over a little bit. Dow had a bit of a tricky day yesterday as well. Nothing. The Dow is very different because you've got the evening star pattern pushed to the upside, the shooting star there, which was a slight gap, I think, and then the third bar coming down, which was very negative. So this looks good as well, even though it's on the support level. So probably see a little bit of upside, but the Dow looks like it could roll over a little bit too. We're still waiting for that 10% correction with these markets. Whether it starts today, difficult to know. But I do think just a bit of weakness is stepping in for the early morning session. So FTSE shorts is the messaging, mate, for around about 20 pips if you can get it. Finally, let's just check Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has seen some trouble, and I would have thought Bitcoin down to around the 50,000 level. I think that looks achievable as well. This is a weekly chart. Does this form some sort of odd evening star? No shooting star with this one, but that's a very strong high test there. So if this starts to break through these lows and close near these lows, then the Bitcoin's also going to look like a pretty bearish pattern. So that's really putting all of the risk on products that we have to trade in focus this morning, and it would suggest to me that they're probably a little bit weak. And it would suggest across the board. Whether we start the big move, I don't know. Whether there is a big move, I don't know. But it would suggest that with them all lining up, that there would be some further downside across the board today.
Yeah, it's listening to the groundswell there. The opinion seems to be, not that it comes into my mind even, but there appears to be the suggestion that they're looking for a blow off top here.
Yeah. That makes sense to me, mate. That makes sense to me. Just looking across the board, as I say, there's just weakness really everywhere. And I've got to be honest, I'm finding it difficult to know why now. Possibly as a price point, but it would seem weird to me that they're all doing the same thing. I mean, I guess they all have reached, when you compare Bitcoin all-time highs, Nasdaq all-time highs, S&P all-time highs, Dow Jones Industrials all-time highs. When you compare the kind of the main drivers of global confidence, the fact that they're all doing that and they're all forming this this potential signal would suggest that there is something afoot.
Where there's smoke, is there fire? Good question. Don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. The one thing we know is if we wait long enough, we'll find out.
Yes. Certainly will. Wouldn't want to be buying here. I think that's the big takeaway.
But we've been here so many times, haven't we?
Yeah, the market keeps pushing, but now they're in alignment. Whereas before there wasn't. There was that kind of there was that thing going on where not everything was at these all-time highs, but I think because they all are, is their profit going to be taken right across the board here?
Interesting. Okay, so how do we play this? We think about dollar strength, perhaps. Gold, dollar.
Yeah, dollar does look pretty good, doesn't it? It is a resistance here, though. Gold, silver, I would have thought would be my favoured products to look at. Yeah, dollar's at resistance here, so I'm not too sure. Maybe if it's a dollar-driven story, then yeah, you would be looking at dollar strength. Maybe you buy both. Maybe you buy a bit of VIX, bit of stocks as well. Put a bit of both in there. Or
I could just go to the pub.
Or you could go to the pub. You might be waiting for data. You might be waiting because this is the thing. We're
No,
on.
pub doesn't care. They'll just serve me anyway. They don't give a bugger about the data.
You might want to wait for earnings.
Yeah,
But,
well, yes. I suppose the market wants to see what the ECB does as well.
Yeah. Look at this though.
To a lesser
Import
degree.
prices quarter on quarter from Australia. That does not suggest that the Bank of Australia are going to be able to hold where they are, 5.4% from 1.9%. That's a huge jump.
Wow, didn't know that.
Yeah. And you look at the two-year yield has just hopped to the upside in Australia as well. So there's quite a lot really that would suggest that the Australians might be ready to shift out. This is why you see that big move in Aussie Cad this morning.
And their meeting is on Tuesday, which of course is Melbourne Cup Day. It's always on Melbourne Cup Day. And it will be interesting. I don't think they can go. Well, they can, but I think they'll probably try and save face and say, we are now considering rather than we're going.
I think you're right.
But, that's me. I'm
right.
no economist, and I've got no insight into what the RBA is going to do. But
I think if they were going, that would be already written into the script. They wouldn't be. I don't think they'd be going this time round.
No, you wouldn't think so. Turning off was easy. Turning it all back on at the same time, it's never been done.
Yeah. Difficult, right?
Yeah. Interesting, John. Interesting. Oh, Angus, shut up. Alison must be home, I should imagine. And I think I've locked him in. Man, did I have an afternoon. If you've got 15 minutes, I'll tell you.
We do.
No, you don't. You really don't. But here's what happened in a brief story, which is all true. So I was out and about today on bamboo business. I was down. Tasmania's got a big channel down the south here, and I had to go down one side, which is like an hour and a half drive, then come back, go through Hobart, go back down the other side, it's another hour and a half. And then I had 3 calls on the way back, blah, 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 blah. Got home, and we're having our bathroom demolished at the moment because we're renovating. And I left my ute, which is a tipping ute, here for the guys to load it up, because I'm a conservative and very tight-ass bastard. What I use my ute instead of getting in a skip bin, those big waste bins that they use, which they $495 for one of those, and it cost me $19 at the local tip, and it was only 2 loads, right? So I've been out all day. I'm tired, so I get home. The ute's ready to go. Put the cover on, drove it to the tip, paid my money, got down the bottom, jumped out of my car to take the tarp off and the tailgate off, and went to get back in my car. I couldn't get in my car, and the tip was going to close in like 10 minutes time. So here I am stranded at the tip, keys locked in the car, car's running. It's about 10 Ks from my place to the tip. What the hell? What am I going to do? I've got a show in an hour and a bit. So this very, very lucky young man who, if you know Tasmania at all, where they say we've all got 2 heads, he was a typical Tasmanian, I'll put it that way, but a hell of a nice young fella. It was only on his P plates. And he said, would you like me to drive you home to get your keys, if you have spare keys? And I said, yes, I would. Thank you very much. So after all of that, I got back, and it takes 2 people. The tip had closed right by the time we got out of the tip. It takes 2 people, 2 employees, one at one gate and one at the other, to stay behind for half an hour whilst I go and get the keys and come back. So I had to drain my fridge of beer, not drinking it. I just took what I had and gave them all beers so I could finally get my car out, got back here with about 10 minutes to spare to the show. So I haven't really been looking at too many charts.
Oh,
That's my afternoon so far. Do you think I'll have a drink?
So the
What a
it
day.
cost you £75 in beer, so it ended up costing you more money anyway.
Yes, that's the moral of the story. I wasted my time. Thank you. That would be wonderful if you have a few for me. Everyone have a few more. Just another one. That'd be good. So listen, did you have any rum last night?
No, mate, I didn't. I didn't have any rum. I even forgot to check it, but I got an early night, so I thought it might be a bit better. It actually gets better through the day. It's not very good right now because I've not long been awake. I've only been awake about an hour or so. So it's not in great shape yet, but it'll get better during the day.
Get that rum into you, mate.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
listen, I need to look at the euro, and then we might just jump straight into the quiz, eh?
Great stuff. That sounds good.
Because I've got very little to entertain you guys with today. I haven't got a firm opinion at all, except on the euro, just a little bit, just a little hint of something that I'm seeing. And I was about to say convinced. I'm not convinced at all, but I'm pretty keen on more downside.
Would you trade it before ECB, mate?
No, but after this is what I'm about to say.
Cool.
When I look at the dollar index, which of course is very, very relevant when you're trading euro dollar, I see.
We've still got my chart, mate.
Oh, have we? That makes it very, very difficult. Told you I'm not having a good day. Actually, I did have a good day. There's a lot more to this story, of course, but I won't bore you with it. I could write a book on today, frankly. I had this guy ring me, right? I'm on the road and I'm like an hour and a half away from my home. And down there, I actually went to pick up some sandstone basins, which are the new hand basins for the bathroom, right? So I got this guy to carve them out of sandstone, and they look magnificent. But anyway, I'm about 2 minutes away from there, and I get this phone call. So there's this dude who's got a big order for bamboo, and he says, "Oh, look, I'm going back years. I've been all up the north. I've been all over Asia. I've been blah blah blah, blah, and I love bamboo. I want this one and that one and that one and that one and that one." And I said, "Okay, fantastic. Where are you going to put them?" As I would normally converse with my clients. And he said, "Well, not real sure." And I said, "Where are you?" He said, "I'm at Sanford, which is an hour and a half from my place." I was 1 minute from Sanford right at the time. So I told him that. He said, "You've got to be joking. You're 1 minute from me right now." And I said, "Yes, mate, it's quite possible. I'm only 1 minute from you. Give me your address and I'll be there as soon as I've done my business." So I went up there, and Tasmania is like very sparsely populated. And I drove into this bush setting, and you kind of get you kind of get that feeling, right? That you're going into redneck territory. And I wasn't. And the vista that opened up before me was something to behold. You know of Grand Designs, right?
Yeah.
The program Grand Designs.
Yeah.
So this place is straight out of that. And there's quite a few places in Tassie actually that are in Grand Designs. So I'm just going, wow, wow, wow. And he was just so pleased that I was there. And he said, "Well, here's where I want to put it, blah, blah, blah." So he's got these garden beds made out of stainless steel. And they're like 10 meters long and like a meter high, all out of stainless steel. I'm going, holy snap and duck shit. They've got to be worth thousands and thousands of dollars. And it just blew me away. So I won't go on with the story, but I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And anyway, got a very good bamboo order. So the day hasn't been that bad. I gained on that end and lost at this end.
Flat.
There you go. See, I can fill in time, no problem.
You should watch Only Fools and Horses, mate. Have you ever seen that?
No. What is it called?
Should watch Only Fools and Horses.
I think I might have years ago. Yeah, I think
It's
I might.
it's about a London market trader that doesn't matter what he does, he never ends up making money. It's always like either flat or down.
No, I haven't seen it. Yeah, I've got to. That sounds very, very familiar.
I tell you,
Awesome.
it is brilliantly written. It's very,
Right,
very good.
it's down on my watch list.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. Try and watch it from the first season if you can. But it just
It's a series, right? Okay.
Oh yeah, it went on for years and years and years. It was so well written, and the characters are very, very good.
Oh, cool. Okay, nice. It's going to piss down raining tomorrow. So actually, I've got a 1,000-kilometer drive tomorrow in the pouring rain. And then you die. Right, dollar. We're talking about the euro, right?
Yeah.
Let's get back to that. And I'm keen on short. I'm really keen on short. But here's the thing. We do have ECB today. We're at the bottom of the range going towards the top. It's about 5 hours away. I wouldn't be prepared to trade it at the moment. But if the statement is, let me say, bland or neutral, gee whiz, and it takes on these highs and fails, here's what I'll be looking for. I'll be looking for price to get up to here and maybe spike above the weekly pivot. But the instant it comes back up, when I say the instant, don't get me wrong, not during the speech in any way, shape or form, but maybe a half hour after the press conference, and we look like we're going to get a false break of this area here. I won't be awake, sadly, but if it can hang on for tomorrow morning and give me a false break of this high side here, yeah, I'm dead set keen to get in euro dollar short. Of course, if something untoward were to happen and they said something positive, then we're going to take on these highs, I would imagine. And if it goes through there, then game over. But really, really keen to find a short in this area here. Anywhere under these highs with a lower high, yeah, happy to go short. That really is the only thing apart from those Aussie pairs, which I'm watching. Still looking for downside on the Aussie, in particular against the yen, the Swissy, and the US dollar. I think they are definitely worth watching. But again, like I said earlier in the show, I want to see false breaks of resistance before I do go short, because you've got to take into consideration what Ash has just reported there earlier. Numbers on the Aussie at the moment are suggesting that there will be a change of heart with the RBA. We'll find that out on Tuesday, and thereafter, I think we can probably make good decisions on the Aussie. At the moment, it's probably just a little bit of interesting, but not conclusive. That's where I'm at anyway. But euro dollar short, I think, is a goer for me. There you go. QM. How you going, buddy?
It's all good.
Which part's all good? Everything.
No, I just there's so much sort of not negativity, but you know, if you want it, you can find it. So I was just thinking, right, I'm going to just put all that in the too hard basket, and I thought, yeah, I got up to date. It wasn't raining. It was a nice view. I thought we'll start there. I've done something worse than your car story. I think when I first started teaching, I had an old Ford Escort, and I locked my keys in the car.
Like me today.
Yeah, car not starting, and I was teaching in an inner city school in a really bad area in the UK back in the early 90s.
Did they lock you in?
No. There's a policeman. He was coming in to do a talk in the school, and I thought, "What are you here for?" He said, "Oh, there was a little bit of trouble." I thought, "Okay." And then one of the teachers said, "Oh, we've got children that can break into your car to get it out." I thought, "What have I done? What have I done? What have I?" The policeman
That's what we teach them here, right?
Yeah, the policeman got it. He got a little gadget and hooked it out. Yep. But it was just the fact that he was there investigating some trouble, and I was my first day's teaching, and I thought, yeah,
yep, this is the place for me.
Yeah, this is the gig I'm in. And then I hit the bar later on. What a war zone! I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say the town or or the school because it's not good.
Fair enough. Welcome back,
Sorry,
Cotter.
mate. Just an update on the FTSE trade. Profit taken on the first one. If you want to carry on and wait for the weekly pivot, fine. But first contact's been hit, so you can take that 20 pip profit.
Good on you, mate. Yeah, it's a bookend, isn't it? You had one on Monday, didn't you?
Yes, we did have one more. Yes, we did. Yep.
Excellent. You bookended the week. Well done.
Yeah.
Righto, Jono, what have we got?
Hopefully something that's reasonably.
Actually, you're probably not in early enough. I've renamed this show on Thursdays. When I welcome everybody, I say, welcome to the Thursday Theatre of Thoughtfulness. Preempting your quiz.
Yeah, I quite like that.
That's very good. The Theatre of Thoughtfulness.
Okay, there we go.
Thanks for thinking of the Thursday Theatre of Thoughtfulness.
You're starting to sound like Sylvester.
The cat.
Countries are at it again.
Oh, sorry, there's a question. Sorry.
It starts. Yeah, sorry. Which two countries are at it again? As if 100 years of it was not enough.
The 100-Year War.
This is right on the money. This is breaking news. I just laughed when I saw it. I thought, here we go again. That's close. You've got one of them.
Oh, no cigar.
Paul's got one of them as well.
Okay. Should be able to work that out then.
Oh, yes. Somebody's come in with the pair. Yes. There is a reason why the other name for Great Britain is called Gran Britannia. If you look over the channel, you'll see its partner as a province in France.
Who answered that question? Is that you, Lloyd? Is that Lloyd?
Online trading profits. It must be Lloyd.
No, that was me.
Oh, it's you. I would have.
Oh, that's you.
Definitely. Yes, France and the UK, they're at it again. The French. I shouldn't laugh, but the French got a couple of snared a boat last night.
So I've got half, right? Half a point.
Half point.
0.5. Yep.
This was one I've been studying. I had no idea what this is. BTC meets ESG, and it's not something that the doctor gives you.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I had no idea what this is, but it is. I think it's something I might have a little look at. It does strike me as something that some people might be following. This might.
Yeah.
This is.
My mate sent me a link to this yesterday, but I didn't read the link, so I haven't got a clue what this relates to.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I got nothing. I mean, I could think up a few, but I don't think that'd be right.
People might not get this one. This is a real geeky thing.
Oh, yeah, very good.
The reason that I did this is because I follow a channel that sort of comes up with this stuff.
Okay, I was going to say that makes no sense, but I see that you've shuffled them around so that would take us off the path there.
Yes. Just be slightly mean. I like this one. Which mode of transport? This is linked into Tesla making all their cash. But which mode of transport might be looking a bit more hip than Tesla? Now you've got to think a commodity. No, not a commodity currency. Think of a currency that's always over the last few months been like at the bottom end.
Yen.
Yeah.
Yeah. The yen will get you the country.
Okay.
Oh, that's so close.
Oh, I know.
That's so close.
Still doesn't get me a point.
No, it doesn't. That is also so close.
Oh, is that not right?
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh like that.
You know what? We've got loads of electric scooters around here. Loads.
We have here,
people don't wear helmets, and I don't know how they're legal.
They're here delivering. Was it Grab or Food Panda? That sort of.
Okay, I'm going to go with this one. Last answer.
No.
Oh, the hoverbike.
really?
Yeah.
No way. What is
Uh,
this?
I just think that I quite like the fact that it's Japan. I can remember going to Japan for the first time in the 80s, and when obviously with the economy was really strong, and went into an electronics shop, and just to see what they had that we didn't have in the UK. This is back in the 80s. I thought, whoa, what's going on? You know, they had small speakers and everything. So I quite like the fact that somebody's come up with that.
Hey, Zach,
very cool.
Zach answered correctly on the first question, by the way. Sorry, I forgot to acknowledge you. Zach's on YouTube.
So the hoverbike, I've got to look into this. This sounds amazing.
I just think it's good that Mr. Elon Musk gets somebody else in the thing, but it's nice to see that.
Jeez,
so what's powering it?
Yeah, it is. That's what I thought. I thought, wow, yeah, imagine that. But then I also thought this might be a bit negative, but you guys have got a sort of the sense of humour that you might see this funny. I'm giving it. There's enough trouble with bikes on the road. Imagine these things.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, this is easy for one of you. Wow. Which budget needed to deliver a boost in a vital area, but came up short again? Now, this is me being a geeky teacher because we were discussing a move in a certain country's education system to be, I was going to say the word stupid, but yeah, I'll say it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, shouldn't be like that. Bang, UK. The UK budget has been delivered, and the money for science was less than promised. There's also a move in the education system at IGCSE level to go to single science.
I've got to say that picture looks like it's come out of a horror movie.
That guy is a horror movie.
Yeah, it's like Dr. No or something.
A little bit, not insider dealing, but a bit of information. I did work in a private school in the UK, not far from Brighton. And we used to take teams up on the Saturday to play different private schools. I went to Eton a couple of times. I have to say, there's quite a lot of people like that man there. Yeah. There's a lot of nice people there as well, but you can see why they are. He is like he is.
Yeah.
Not condoning it, but there's nice guys there as well. But I thought, oh, this is a bit scary.
Have they all got no mirrors at home?
It's got a great bar, Jeff.
Well, that makes up for it, certainly.
Well, it did for me because I just thought, I can't sling a posh sentence together, and I'm here with my football team giving them a kicking. So I thought, yes, we'll win on the field and we'll win in the bar.
Very cool.
I've changed the sporting questions to get more financial rather than, sport.
The most clubs in the EPL.
Yeah, which sports clothing company sponsors the most clubs in the English Premier League?
I would have said that.
I pointed this out to a colleague of mine that the owners of Manchester United won't necessarily, I wouldn't say care, but it won't really affect their bottom line if they've lost 5-0 to Liverpool.
I don't even know if this one
but I think it's really cool
exists.
That Brighton are above them.
Does that still exist, that company?
Yeah.
That's on the list. Under Armour's. Oh, look at that! Yeah, somebody's got their cornflakes in this morning. Somebody's on it. Yeah, Adidas is still, or Adidas is still out there front running. So they.
Well, I'm losing this. This is not good.
Well, the money side of it, I don't know what it's like in Singapore, but Malaysia likes badminton. But the next sport this place is mad on is football and the English Premier League. Once the bars open, that when there's a game on, they are full. They are around.
I'm going to, after you finish, John, remind me to tell you a sporting story to do with the NFL later. I don't know if it's in your questions, which is why I haven't talked about it already. But
no, I don't think it is today.
There's a great story from the NFL from the last weekend.
This is, I think this is probably the market might be a little bit indecisive. I don't know. Only just started, and
Diesel.
Yeah, I mean, I know diesel's a bit of a UK. Yes, but this country, no.
Diesel.
Yeah.
Why diesel?
They use it for transportation vehicles.
Yeah, they do.
They do, and this is bang, China.
China, wow.
Not all of it, but certain provinces they've got a. It's like the question I said. It was easy to turn an economy off, but to turn everything all back on at the same time. There's nothing's going to be in the same. But they haven't got enough diesel to get everything moving. It's not a case, but then it's supply chain.
That's interesting. Wonder what that's going to. Are they thinking of getting out of that problem? Like, are they going to make a big move on oil somewhere?
I just think.
Or don't they care?
I don't want to get too political.
They're not banning coal.
They've got so many. There's a friend of mine that works in a factory there. They've got so many factories from around the world. If they can't move stuff, it's difficult to get things going. He says he's got his factories just across the border in what was the border with Hong Kong and China, and he says just getting the components to make the stuff is bad enough because you can't. The trucks, not enough trucks are getting there, and then to get the stuff to where it needs to go.
Paul,
this is crazy.
Paul, they are. Paul's just asking if the woes are over, and they have finished. Yeah, lasted about 2 weeks. It was a bit like COVID with the food thing at the start. It's really interesting, the arguments. I remember the arguments about getting the vaccine. Everybody should get the vaccine because we're all helping each other out. There was no evidence of that on the shelving of on the food shelves when you went to the supermarket. It was just a bun fight. No evidence of that when it came down to people getting fuel. I think the UK have got a very elevated view of what society will do for each other. Everybody's literally everybody's out for themselves when it comes down to it.
What about my little mate who drove me home to get my key?
Oh,
that's Tasmania.
Yeah, I like that though. There's a good spitting image, Mickey take of that petrol scene. If you can find it on YouTube, it's brilliant. Boris Johnson and his little cronies interviewing some people as to why they were queuing up for petrol.
Okay, I'll write that one down too.
Then at the end of it, they say, where did you get this petrol? And then it goes back to these people, and then the camera flashes back to where Boris and his crew went. Go on, find the petrol. It's quite
I don't need to watch it now.
Yeah. But spitting image is good because the minute they fixated on Boris and his crew, and it's really good. Really put in. And who's the other? Sleepy Joe. I think everybody got this one. This is also proof that I do read about this stuff now. I never used to. Yep.
They're not keen, are they? I mean, nobody's keen to move at this stage. There's a lot of intimation going on. The only ones who are not intimating effectively is the European Union and Japan.
Yeah.
They're both effective in the same shape as everybody else, but they're just not intimating.
It's 0-0. It's like you got 60 seconds to go till penalties. You're going to risk it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can take the penalties.
I mean, the other thing is they're kind of loving the inflation because it's inflating away some of the debt, isn't it? So I think that's one of the reasons they're quite comfortable. It's a very fine balancing act, and also Rishi Sunak has increased the minimum wage by 6.6%, which is huge, really. So that beats inflation. So they are managing to combat it and sort of throw wages up. So if they can throw wages up, they're a lot more comfortable about where inflation's going at the minute.
Yet you've got fuel going nuts, which is
You
not
do.
inflationary at all. So why is that not balancing it out, I wonder? And how high does fuel go before it does reduce inflation?
Well, I mean, I don't know, mate. I mean, that seems to me like a huge equation that you'd have to sit down and work out how you weave fuel into it, because it's not the only consideration. So,
but it is a big one in
it is.
in domestic circumstances where you've got things like what we're just talking about. I mean, the freight costs are just horrendous at the moment.
Yeah,
which puts pressure on retail prices.
yeah,
which puts pressure on household income, which is under pressure because oil is so high
yeah.
in getting from A to B. So, whilst the oil companies or those who actually do benefit from oil might think it's wonderful, I don't think it's, and I think we had this conversation last week or the week before. I don't think it's good. Well, it's deflationary, I'll put it that way, where people just don't have enough liquid cash, in other words, or savings to counteract the oil price, because that's what takes up all the money.
Yes, that is true.
They're not spending in other areas of the economy. Is what
Well,
I'm saying.
yes, I see what you're saying. That is true. But then I suppose what you'd need to know is what is the CPI including oil, and if that falls below 6.6%, then actually, the consumer's doing okay.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you need to know how much of the CPI of the basket is made up by oil.
Yes.
And whether other things are flat or also increasing, which of course they are, because there's supply chain issues right across the board. Oil, you don't get enough oil. Oil's high. Food's more expensive to transport, so everything is kind of like linked, as you say. But I think the balance of 6.6% is it's pretty healthy.
It's a good number, big number. Totally. Sorry, John.
No, I like it. I like it. I remember because I'm at the other end of the innings. I'm on my last test. I'm on the last leg down, age-wise, and I remember the interest rates going nuts in the late 70s and again in the late 80s. I remember it in the UK quite well. But this time, if it goes like that, this time I have no D.
What makes eToro a better place?
I have no debt this time around, so I feel quite fortunate that way. So,
yeah, in good shape.
I remember interest rates going nuts when the pound was in the exchange rate mechanism. Remember that?
Do I remember it?
Young Ash, pretty too young, probably in a good band. It was nuts. The chancellor at the time was just going up. It got up to 13 or 14%, and in the end, it broke it, and the pound had to come out. But we were all.
Oh yeah.
We were all
you're talking about Germany. The fact it was pegged to the Deutschmark.
Yeah, we were just going to see interest rates on our mortgages go up.
Yeah.
And we were all just crying in the bar.
First house I bought, John, interest rate was, I think, 5.6% or something. Within 6 months, it was 18%.
Jeez.
Holy moly.
In 1982. I'll never forget it.
I suppose maybe 1982 is a bit too late in the picture, but how much was your house versus your wage at the time? How many years were you?
Well, I was on a pretty good wage, so it would have been at 2 points. I think you used to value your mortgage, your LVR would have been 75%, something like that. So I'm thinking trying to remember exactly how much I was earning. Because
If you were to put all your wages into your house, how many years would it have taken you to pay off?
a year and a half.
Is that all? See, that's the difference. Now, completely different picture, right? So if they put interest rates going up now is a lot more significant than it would have been in 1982.
Certainly, if I had to borrow money, you'd be paying off value of house versus income. Oh God, yes, be horrendous.
Yeah.
That's the
Yep.
key for everybody.
And that's why it can't sustain itself, right? There has to be a turnaround somewhere.
Yeah.
Don't know what that looks like, frankly, but it can't last. It's non-sustainable.
Yeah.
As it's our last full week, I put an extra little bit of effort into the music question this week. It's sort of easy. Okay, that's the question. I'm going to expand out the vid. There you go. So, got to name the family of instruments, and then name each one in the family. I don't know. Should be able to see that?
Yep.
Yeah. No. This did work earlier. Doing it again? Are we okay?
Yeah.
So you want?
They need to name there's a name for those instruments collectively, but there are 4 of them, and each one's got its own name. If you need a bit of help, think of a church choir.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I must be way wrong.
Yes, there is 4 of me. Yeah, I learned to what was it? Not multi-track, but video multi-track. That's a
Got
good
no
word.
idea.
I like that.
Got no idea what that straight thing is.
That's a straight thing. They're the saxophone family, all 4 of them. Baritone. Tenor. I'm going in order across. I thought the 2 to the left were the same. I don't think so. Let's have a little look.
It's gone. Here he comes.
Okay, bang. Well, that's a baritone. It's quite chunky. It's quite big.
It's beefy.
Yep.
Made in China. Very good. But I can't get them at the minute. My shop can't get them, or the guy I work with. Supply chain issue.
Can you can you play the Darth Vader theme tune on that?
Oh, get sued back to the Stone Age. This is a soprano saxophone.
Soprano. There you go.
Soprano, yeah. And then
No wonder it's straight.
Across the way. There we are. That's the.
What was that one?
Alto. Alto.
Oh, I got 3.
So I got 2.
There is on this one there are 3 bigger than this.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I looked at one in a shop, and my wife went, "Jog on." She looked at the price, said, "Justify spending that money on the fact nobody will ever ask you to play it anywhere."
Yeah.
I went,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, but you can do what this guy's done and just set up your own choir.
Yeah.
So a soprano sax would sound like a piccolo or something, wouldn't it? I knew I'd get him.
Yeah. Does it? Does it? I don't know. I don't think so. This will probably sound like
Okay.
It's like the high end.
Yes, that's what I said. A piccolo, but it's, that's very.
My younger brother's a builder, so I say the saxophone is like a big pipe, and if it's a massive long pipe, it's and you blow it at one end, it's really low, and if you cut it in sections, it gets smaller and it gets higher. That's the and he went okay, and he tried to blow it, and he still couldn't blow it. I said, yeah, okay. Back to building.
Cool. I thought that was very Benny Goodmanish. I thought.
But yes, it is. That's how I listened to as a boy.
So
there you go.
Let me tell you this story about the NFL because you'll like this. I think you'll like it anyway. And I thought this was going to be a question. So on Sunday, Tom Brady, the most successful and decorated NFL quarterback in history, was the only man to hit 600 touchdown passes. And when he threw his 600 in his career, only man ever to do it, right? Peyton Manning is up there and Brett Favre. There's a few other guys up there, but he's the first one to get 600. Threw his 600th pass. The wide receiver catches the ball in the end zone and runs straight up to the crowd and pops the ball, the 600 ball, to somebody in the crowd. So inevitably, Tom Brady's livid. He's like, what?
Yeah.
What have we just done? That's my ball. So this guy's got the ball. He's like, I've got this ball. And then 10 minutes later, one of the officials from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers goes over to the guy and says, look, you can't have that ball. That's Tom Brady's ball. That's his 600 ball. You got to give it back. And the guy wouldn't give it back. And they sat, they had about a 5-minute negotiation, and eventually the guy gives the ball back. And I don't know what was negotiated at the time, but everybody was like, whatever that guy from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has offered is not enough. That ball is worth $1 million, and it probably would be in the open market.
Yeah, totally.
And then yesterday, Tom Brady, it said that Tom Brady has given the guy a Bitcoin, which I thought was quite a nice.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, which I thought was quite nice. I mean, it's interesting because it's still 60 grand. I mean, this Bitcoin's 60 grand. You got this thing going for potentially $1 million, but it might be worth $1 million one day. Is Bitcoin. So what he does with it, I don't know. But I thought it was quite a nice story and
interesting.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, and quite nicely sort of like.
So Tom's got a few Bitcoins in his.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? When you learn that he's giving away a Bitcoin, it probably is quite disposable to him. He's probably got quite a few, yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the only one he's got. No. Interesting.
Yeah.
He might have some way back from the beginning. You never know.
Yeah, he might do. But he's got his ball. That's the most amazing. That's the most.
He's got home with his ball.
Yeah, yeah. I think he gave the guy signed balls and like lots of other things from Tom Brady. But that was, that piece of leather was worth more to him than anything else.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good story. I like it.
I don't follow American football as much.
I really like that. The more the English Football League kind of goes on and establishes itself with cameras and all this stuff, I'm just losing the love for. I used to stay up and watch Match of the Day if I missed the matches, but I don't bother anymore.
No,
I find football quite boring. Not boring.
I catch the highlights.
Yeah. There's stretches of it which are just a bit dull. But American football's great because there's so much strategy involved, and there's always new players coming in every year that obviously the weaker team gets the first pick. So there's a bit of balancing out. So that's the good thing about American football. I think it's a much better sport.
I've always been a rugby union.
Oh yeah. Rugby union is a great sport.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've only ever played at a lower level, but it's the fact that half time you could get your car fixed, you could book your builders, you could catch up with the lawyers, have a chat with the doctor, and then play the game again. It was just people that were playing the game.
Yeah.
That's how I liked it.
Yeah.
But all shared the whiskey at half time, so.
I know, yeah. So it's a much more gentlemanly game, isn't it?
Oh, he's
Yep. The game they play in heaven, mate.
Yeah.
supposedly. Right, well, let's wrap it up, I guess, guys. I mean, I probably should give my
Yeah, we
voice a bit.
got off trading a little bit there, I suppose. Just a couple of things from me before we go. No need to share the charts, guys. I'm looking for 2 or 3 things before the weekend comes. Aussie versus the yen, the Swissy, and the dollar. Looking for shorts there. There's a great candle forming at the moment on Aussie Swiss on the 4-hour chart. I'll be looking at that. Would like to see a green body on it. Euro I've told you about, and the Aussie pairs. Wait on the euro. The euro be very dangerous to trade in the next couple or 3 or 4 hours until that announcement comes. Aussie versus just about anything short, I reckon. But short-term charts, 4 hours and less. That's where we need to be. That's me for the week.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. FTSE's continuing to push to the downside. So if anybody stayed in for that weekly pivot, you might just get it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me as well. I think be kind of careful looking at too much upside in these markets. Can't dig into why, but earnings season's been pretty solid. I wonder whether it's kind of like buy the rumor, sell the news. You know, they're sort of like now the earnings are coming out and they're good. Everybody's like, okay, what happens next? Do we start positioning ourselves for a bit of a slowdown or not? I don't know. It's a strange reaction in many respects. Even though the Nasdaq is probably one of the stronger markets out of many of the weak ones, which is not what I was expecting. I thought a buy FTSE sell Nasdaq trade would have been a pretty good bet, but I don't think that's turned just yet. It might do eventually, but it hasn't turned just yet. And Nasdaq earnings continue to be decent. I think we've got Amazon later on, so that might change things, or it might just put a full stop on the Nasdaq buying for now. But that would suggest that the yen could get a kick as well. I don't know. You know, you might get a kick up in the yen.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that.
Yeah.
Could be waiting a long. We have been waiting a long time, though, I've got to say.
Yeah. These markets come down. The yen's probably going to get a bit of a kick up. So we'll see.
All right, guys, that's the show. And thank you, John, as always.
Thank you,
Ash, for being a trooper and lasting through the last couple of days. And all our trading buddies, thank you so much for your company throughout not only the last week, but all of the Tuesdays and Wednesdays that you've taken time to be our trading buddies. As you know, this is the last week. There will be a Tuesday and Wednesday. As of next Monday, it will be Monday, Thursday only, and change of time for most people as well, because the UK session will start 1 hour later, and so will we.
Okay, yeah, 5 to 4. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see you then.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend, guys. Ash can't talk, otherwise he'd say goodbye, I'm sure.
Yeah, goodbye.
Have a good one. Thanks, Angel, for looking after us, and everyone, thanks for being our trading buddies. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.